Let's go ahead and turn to Netanyahu's visit to the White House yesterday. Obviously, all that we're discussing with regards to Iran, that's part of the backdrop here. Also, the continued genocide in Gaza, these daily aid massacres, ongoing, ceasefire talks, which don't seem to be developing very effectively at this point. That's some of the backdrop here. And let me go ahead and start with this clip of Netanyahu. They're, sitting across from each other at the dinner table, and Netanyahu makes a big show of presenting Trump with these papers where he says he has nominated him for a Nobel Peace Prize. Let's go ahead and take a listen to that.
Express the appreciation and admiration, not only of all Israelis, but of the Jewish people and many, many admirers around the world for your leadership of the free world, your leadership of a just cause, and the pursuit of peace and security, which you are leading in many lands, but now especially in the Middle East. He forged the Abraham Accords. He's forging peace as we speak in one country and one region after the other. So I want to present to you, Mr. President, the letter I sent to the Nobel Prize Committee. It's nominating you for the Peace Prize, which is well-deserved, and you should get it.
Thank you very much. This I didn't know. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coming from you in particular, this is very meaningful. Thank you very much, Bibi.
Thank you. Thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you. It's a great honor.
And if we can put B7 up on the screen, these are images. So basically at roughly the same time that this whole "you should get a Nobel Peace Prize" conversation is going on, this is the aftermath of tents being bombed by Israel on the grounds of a school shelter. This was happening while Netanyahu was arriving at the White House. Of course, it's Israel directly bombing these tents of displaced Palestinians, and it's the United States of America that is providing both the bombs and the diplomatic cover for these sorts of horrors to continue. So it's so grotesque. I mean, you almost want to laugh at it, but it's so grotesque that these two people who are perpetrating a genocide are patting each other on the back like they're these great peacemakers.
Yeah, I feel like the Nobel Prize kind of became a bit of a punchline ever since Henry Kissinger won it. But this is a particularly grotesque sort of example, Krystal, as you pointed out. That what's taking place in Gaza right now is so horrifying. It really is a genocide. And we're seeing it live streamed in a way we've never seen any genocide in the past depicted and shown to us in real time. And I think that in Netanyahu's case, he's being cynical and smart in a way. He's taking advantage of Trump's vanity. And you could see when Trump was given the envelope with the nomination, he almost responds, it's an auditory response.
Oh, he ate it up. No, Netanyahu played it exactly right.
Yeah, he liked it. So, ultimately, this is an attempt to sort of, it's almost depressing, to be honest. The way that individual personalities can drive politics in a sense. And Netanyahu knows how this game is played very, very well. He's been around in Washington longer than Trump has, really. He knows how to change, manipulate the levers of power. He knows how to manipulate his interlocutors. He knows how to push Trump's buttons, so to speak. So, Trump is not actually the first person to nominate Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize. The Pakistani government nominated him for a Peace Prize a few weeks ago as well, too. Right. Knowing the same sort of vanity and the desire for this award that Trump has. And I hope, I'm not very optimistic, but I hope that in some sense Trump lives up to the award which he's seeking, a Nobel Peace Prize, and at least declines to engage in further confrontations, at least in the sense with Iran. But, irrespective of that, he's doing nothing to stop what's going on in Gaza. He's arming it. He's greenlighting it. He's giving it political cover. And he's also helping bring it to a more extreme stage where potentially the population of Gaza will be expelled from the territory entirely. That's what the Israeli government's saying now. That's what Netanyahu talked about in this meeting as well, too. And I think that is a very, very grotesque and dire escalation of the situation to what you can call full-blown ethnic cleansing.
Well, that's a good segue to the next clip that I have for you to react to, because Trump got asked if the, quote, Palestinian relocation plan, also known as ethnic cleansing, which Trump had floated, of, hey, let's get all of these Palestinians out of Gaza so that me and my billionaire buddies can come in and develop this beachfront property. People call it Gaza Lago. Is that still on the table, he was asked. And he actually pitches the question over to Netanyahu to get him to respond to it. Let's go ahead and take a listen to that exchange.
Is your Palestinian relocation plan still on the table? Is there a plan? Has there been any progress in finding countries to accept?
Bibi, why don't I let you answer that question?
Mr. President,
Wait a minute, wait, he's got to answer the question.
I think President Trump had a brilliant vision. It's called free choice. You know, if people want to stay, they can stay. But if they want to leave, they should be able to leave. It shouldn't be a prison. It should be an open place and give people a free choice. We're working with the United States very closely about finding countries that will seek to realize what they always say, that they want to give the Palestinians a better future. And those who, and I think we're getting close to finding several countries, and I think this will give, again, the freedom to choose. Palestinians should have it. And I hope that we can secure it close by.
And we've had great cooperation from surrounding Israel, surrounding countries, great cooperation from every single one of them. So something good will happen.
Freedom to choose, Maz. Who could object?
Yeah, this is the thing. Basically, he's saying freedom to choose, but the actual variable here is you can stay and starve to death and be killed or leave. In that sense, it's not freedom to choose. It's duress, extreme duress, to try to force people out. What they're doing now is they're trying to concentrate, this is the word that they actually use themselves, to concentrate the population in a very small southern strip. And I suppose eventually make life so difficult and so hopeless over a long period of time that piecemeal people can be gotten out of there. And I think that, regardless of what Trump is saying, there's not really any country which is going to take millions of people. It would destabilize any of the regional countries. People get very angry. They believe in the two-state solution on paper, these governments around Israel as well, too, and this will put an end to that forever. What they may try to do is to try to get, 1,000 people out here and there over a long period of time and gradually, make Palestinians so miserable in this place that they send them somewhere else in the world that may take them. But I'm skeptical that any country, as I said, has agreed to take large numbers of people. There've been people floating in the Israeli government sending them to Somaliland or Sudan or Congo or other places like this. And this kind of is reminiscent of, I hate to use the analogy, but in World War II, the Madagascar plan that
That's right.
Germany thought of sending the Jewish, undesirable Jewish population inside to Madagascar. Just send them far away, somewhere in Africa, somewhere far away, someone don't have to hear about them. That's the way that they're talking about the subject. And again, this is not people leaving under free choice, is the way Netanyahu was framing it. They're trying to give them a choice. You can die, you can starve, your family can be killed here, or you can go somewhere we don't have to hear about you again. And you won't really have anything over there either. But that's your choice. You can die or you can leave. That's ethnic cleansing. And his framing of it, which seems to portray it in a more benign way, couldn't be more further from the truth. It's a really, really terrible and monstrous thing happening right now. And it's very unfortunate. It's very shameful, I think, that the U.S. government is helping facilitate it. And again, when Trump talks about this, it seems like he's deferred the whole policy to Netanyahu. It seems like Netanyahu is running U.S. Middle East policy because he didn't even get an answer to it. He just said, well, Mr. Netanyahu, what do you think about that? And let him effectively define what is U.S. policy on the subject.
He did the same thing when he got asked about whether a two-state solution was still possible. He said the same thing. Oh, let me give the question to the best person in the world to answer that, and pitched it over to Netanyahu, who, gave some answer about how, well, of course, we'd love them to have the, ability to govern. But he said, we will always make sure that we have the ultimate security control. So effectively, the answer there is no, which is nothing new for Netanyahu. I mean, this has been his life's political project, is to make sure and guarantee that Palestinians never have a state of their own, and he's used any sort of tactic that he possibly can in order to effectuate that outcome.
Yeah, you said that very well, Krystal. This is both two things. Those lifetime projects are preventing Palestinian state and bombing Iran, and
his own political power. That would be the third, yeah.
And his own political power, and he's seen in Trump sort of like a cipher through which he can accomplish these goals that he's long sought. And not to say that Biden was also giving him as much support as he could as well, too. These are both very pliable and supportive administrations in the U.S. And I think the most important thing here is actually in the historical context, you look at Netanyahu's career, he's fanatically wanted these things for a very, very long time. Whatever beliefs Trump had or Biden had, they seem much more malleable. They seem much more fleeting, you could say, or, they dither to a degree. When you have someone who's fanatically committed to what they want and they know exactly what it is and they're absolutely driven to get it, and you have an interlocutor, someone on the other side who is unsure even 10%, I would bet on the person who knows what they want, getting what they want. And that's Netanyahu in this case. He knows he wants to bomb Iran. He knows he wants to stop the Palestinian state, expel the Palestinians. Trump doesn't seem to know what he wants as much. He defers to Netanyahu, even on his questions to the press. So I would expect Netanyahu to win in this scenario, to get what he wants. And I think it would say that Netanyahu is almost running these policies in a way in the U.S. And it's unfortunate, but it's what appears to be the case.
Yeah, which is not to take away agency or blame from Trump, because he's the one who's outsourced the policy to Netanyahu, but to say that ultimately our interests are not being reflected here whatsoever, let alone forget about the interests of Palestinians. That doesn't even enter into the equation. It's all been outsourced effectively to Netanyahu. And actually, that's the last piece I want to ask you about. Let's put B6 up on the screen here. This is one of these Axios reports from Barak Ravid. So, this is something that has been leaked to him either from the Israeli officials or from the American officials. In any case, they think that they can get Trump to give them a green light to attack Iran again. They say that Ron Dermer told officials in closed briefings he came away from a recent visit to Washington with the impression Trump administration would back new Israeli strikes on Iran under certain circumstances. One scenario would be an Iranian attempt to remove the highly enriched uranium inside the damaged facilities. Another would be if the Iranians start rebuilding their nuclear program. They go on to say that Dermer met last week with Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and White House envoy Steve Witkoff. And so I think this speaks directly to your point of the Israelis know very much what they want to do. And so what they feel like they can do is create this framework of like, well, this whole 12-day war peace situation, this is great for now. But obviously, if Iran goes back to building a nuclear weapon, then we're going to have to go back in. And then as we know from the last war with Iran, mere weeks ago, there was no actual change in Iranian nuclear development. There was just a pretext that was created of, now's the time we have to go and this is urgent. So there's nothing to stop them again from producing some sort of intelligence estimate that, oh my God, Iran is rushing to a nuclear weapon. Not to mention that they may well do that at this point, because the logic that this war on them from Israel and the U.S. has created is one that would lead you logically to conclude, I guess I have no choice but to develop a nuclear weapon to give myself some sort of protection against these maniacs.
I think the real purpose of this war last month was actually not to stop the nuclear program. Israel didn't, as you pointed out. They still have a program they can reconstitute in a year or two. It's not a huge impediment. What they really are seeking is to make it normal to bomb Iran. They wanted to make it like Iraq in the 90s, where the U.S. And other countries could bomb the country whenever they wanted. They can gradually weaken the country, weaken its sovereignty, undermine it, and so forth, such that maybe in 10 years from now, after that's been done, we bomb Iran all the time and we fight them all the time. You can say, well, we'll just do regime change then. Let's just take it one more notch further. I think it's about turning up the temperature gradually. That was the purpose of bombing Iran in this case. And when they're saying we want a green light, it's not saying like give us permission. That's not the whole question of what it's about. They're saying, you need to provide us support. The U.S. arms these attacks. It gives fuel for them. It gives logistics and intelligence. It's saying that you're committing to being part of this future operations. It's not just about the Israelis. It's about the war could not have happened without very, very intensive American support at all levels, logistical, tactical, strategic, very, very practical weapons and logistics and so forth. And it's saying these promises and guarantees, I interpret them as saying that you will commit to giving us that support in the future. Because without that, Iran's very far away from Israel. They can't really carry out the attacks. They can't really do anything they're doing without very intensive American backing. So I think that Netanyahu is basically looping America into a forever war with Iran, but he's doing it in a slow, gradual way. Whereas you get the commitment first, the original attack, then you get commitments for further attacks. And then 10 years from now, who knows? You could see an Iraq-type situation gradually develop, where the U.S. is forced to ultimately do regime change, maybe put boots on the ground and so forth. And none of us ever really knew how it got to that point. We weren't paying attention to what's happening today. But I think that's what Netanyahu's aim is, and that's what the administration is gradually allowing itself to be roped into.
I think, unfortunately, that looks very likely. All right, Murtaza Hussain, thank you so much for joining me this morning, helping make sense of all of these things.
Thanks, Krystal. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.